So I think the pharmaceutical company, the alcohol company, I think they've been lying to all of us for a long time. I think what they don't, okay, let's put it this way. I think that I am a great example right now for why marijuana is a good thing. And I say that by saying I'm also probably, I consider myself to be a human drug testing machine. Okay. And I don't say that in some cocky manner, but meaning that I've done every single drug there has ever been that you can pretty much think of in an average sort of fun way, except maybe some weird random side stuff. But, all those drugs, none of that was started until, it was just I started doing marijuana and alcohol and stuff like that when I was young. Typical party stuff, but it never got out of control or started getting crazy until the pharmaceutical company came out with Percocets, Vicodin, all that sort of stuff. And, mine was pretty simple. It started with wisdom teeth pulled, and there you go. It was like, and I've heard some people and seen some people, friends of mine, who've only done a small amount, who, even ones that were not drug addicts, that I saw the spark in their eye when they did these drugs. And my one friend who never does anything, I'll never forget, we were sitting in a movie theater, first time he ever tried Oxycontin, and he was for about an hour in heaven. And then the hour afterwards, he was puking his brains out. And I'm just looking at him going, I'm chilling, bro. I don't get it, And that is simply from the pharmaceutical company that pushed these drugs on everybody in every way possible and sold them to the nth degree and sold all of us a lie, and that there was nothing to fear there, right? But if not for them, I'd have zero criminal record. I'd have nothing that I ever would have done to absolutely need these drugs and turn me to heroin eventually, which I went down and spent years addicted to and lost my life 3 times from these drugs. Okay. And I'm so lucky to be here and sit here and say to you, and why this has changed. And the only reason that things have changed for me was because I had my son who was born in an incubator, and it's not from any sort of drug use. His mother stayed clean the whole time. But he was born extremely early, and I watched him grow in that incubator, and it changed my freaking life, man. But when I sit here and tell you that the last 10 years of my life have been, because we're coming up on 10 years with him, completely clean, except for the, some edibles here and there to get me through the hardships of dealing with his autism, I'm telling you, that's the reason I was saved. And I truly believe that marijuana is not the problem. I think marijuana is a savior. I think it's changed the way we handle things. Both me and my wife, you can't process the kind of trauma that we have to deal with on a regular basis from autism in the house if it wasn't for the occasional edible or things that we need just to be able to make things not so hard, and things get so damn stressful. But I promise you, it is not from marijuana. Marijuana had nothing to do with it. I truly believe the pharmaceutical companies were so evil and so out for money that they're the ones who really should be prosecuted the most for crimes on humanity. Because so many crimes in your area, my area, everywhere would have been prevented if somebody simply put these mother effers in their place. If somebody said, are you insane? You cannot give an entire public a prescription that requires you to grovelly, weakenly throw up and vomit and shit yourself and all this sort of stuff and go off the rails the way that it does and need like 10 to 100 times worse than the flu to recover from these medications if you do not have them. And then send those people out into public who are now broke, who have to buy your medicine on the street, and they have to come up with a way to get that money. And we're the ones that walk around with the records that reflect it and can't do simple jobs. Like, there's things that I see now that I would love to have a chance to get involved with. It's like even dumb things. I'm one of the best fathers you'll find when it comes to my autistic son and the way that I've raised him and the journey that we've been on in the discovery. But I can't even take him on a field trip with the school that he's at I can't even go with because of my record, which is all nonviolent drug-related offenses. And I can't go, and I don't have the money to go through the forever expungement that it would take to clear that record. So I'm just going to, I just wanted to be very clear that marijuana is a good thing. I don't think it should be on scheduled list at all. I think it's 10 times better than any alcoholic drink that you're going to pick up and use and destroy your body with that, because I have watched my blood every which way. So at the end of my addiction, I was also drinking like every day at one point. And I happened to see all my blood work at the end there. And my blood work and everything was the worst it ever was when I was on alcohol. I just got my blood work back the other day, and every single category was green except for my my red cell count, which I need to bring down. But that has to do with, and what does that have to do with? That has to do with my low testosterone replacement therapy that I have to take because the pharmaceutical company destroyed my testosterone level to the point where it was a 64. And the doctor told him it was the lowest testosterone level that he's ever seen in his life. So now I'm in I have to get red blood cells removed because of that process. So I just want to go out there and say marijuana, I think, is a good drug. I think it's done better for people than you could think. My father was, if he touched alcohol, he was a nightmare. And if he loved marijuana and was always like the most peaceful, calm, level, coolest guy you'd find. I mean, my dad's one of the most quiet, stoic people ever. Who's going through a battle with dementia right now. And man, that sucks because I actually feel like I lost my father like 2 years ago. Even though he's still alive, I feel like I lost my dad a long time ago. So that's not easy. But anyway, I think we covered some good stuff here in a couple minutes. I think it was important to sort of get that out there, my feelings on marijuana. And I really think if you think it's a bad drug and also there's this huge amount of people out there that will tell you, oh, I've relapsed, man. That's a relapse, dude. Just marijuana in 10 years. Never touched heroin again for 10 years. But that's a relapse, right? That's a relapse in some of your eyes out there. Well, let me tell you this. My life, I have put so much, a roof, a great house. This room that I sit in right now is a freaking spare room. Okay, let me tell you something. There was no spare room when I was getting high. I lived in my mother's spare room. That's the spare room that I lived in. And that was if I wasn't kicked out on the streets that night for being a completely drug addict mess. Okay? So I don't believe strongly in the NAAA programs, and that's because of years and years of doing them. And people, I don't give a shit what you say. If you don't think people judge you when you walk back in those rooms and all that, like, you can say whatever you want. People are always going to judge whatever they want. If that was the case, we'd all be able to understand, we'd all be on the same level when it comes to politics right now. We're not on the same level. And that is just the case when it comes to NA and AA programs. I just feel, this is me, I just feel there's okay, let me think here. I just think there's a better way that we could do it. I think there's different types of programs that really aren't explored because people are afraid to go up against the big bad NAAA programs. Okay? I am living proof that things can be done a different way. My father was the same way. My father, when he quit drinking, literally just said, all right, I'm done. And that was it. Like, that's how my dad was. So if you think that if I relapsed in your eyes, then okay, well, great. Well, go fuck yourself, because my life has literally been changed in every way, and everything has been driven towards furthering my son's ability through the struggles of his autism. So if you think me doing a little bit of weed now and then is a problem and that's a relapse, well, then go relapse yourself off a fucking cliff. Because that's how I feel about you. Because I don't give a shit about your programs no more. I've had it up to here with programs in my life. Okay? So if you're out there and you maybe somebody feels and relates to this and go, oh man, maybe I'm not the only one that actually felt like, oh geez, I don't feel like seeing them 10 assholes again that I've been seeing for the last 2 years and coming back in and getting another freaking white chip in front of them so they can all clap and feel better about themselves. That's just me though. But I'm also a very solo, independent person when it comes to these things. I've quit so many things in my life through myself, through my own drive. So that's just how I feel about those things. And I get it. Some people need a program. Some people need their handheld, sort of. Hate to say it, but it's sort of true. But I just think there's other ways that these things can be done and they need to be explored, and we need to stop pursuing like this thing like it's the only way, which how much money has that goddamn system made? And then all they do at the end of that system is throw you into that class every night and say, good luck. Okay. I just think there's better ways, man. I don't know. Let me know what you think.